Hello everyone, how are you po? Alright, before we start, I want to introduce myself first. My name is Alejandro Bulan Jr. I came from Samar and I am 37 years old. Currently, I am here now in Dauma, Bulacan City, working at Systems Plus College Foundation's main area in Balibago and teaching in elementary and junior high school department. Alright, our topic for today is all about the history of Philippines, the history of fishing in the Philippines, right? Okay, let's start in the topography of Philippine archipelago. So when we say topography, these are the landmark or landscape in the Philippines. Archipelago is a group of islands or an expanse of water in many scattered islands. Okay. Philippines is an island country of Southeast Asia in the Western Pacific Ocean. It is an archipelago consisting of some 7,100 islands and islets lying about 500 miles or 800 kilometers off to the coast of Vietnam. The Philippine archipelago is bounded by the Philippine Sea to the east, the Celebes Sea to the south, the Sulu Sea to the southwest, and the South China Sea to the west and north. The island is spread out in the shape of triangle. With those south of Palawan, the Sulu Archipelago and the island of Mindanao outlining from west to east respectively, its southern base and the Batan Islands to the north of Luzon, forming its apex. The archipelago stretches about 1,100 miles or 1,800 kilometers from north to the south, and its widest east-west to extent at its southern base is some of 700 miles or 1,130 kilometer southern base. The island of Taiwan lies north of Bataan Group. Bataan Group is the Malaysian portions of Borneo is to the south of Palawan, right? And the eastern islands of Indonesia lie to the south and southeast of Mindanao. Only about 2/5 of the islands and islets have names, and only some is 350 areas of 1 square mile or 2.6 square mile or more, something like that. So the large islands fall into three groups. The first one is the Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. When it comes to the Luzon group in the north and west, it is consisting of Luzon, Mindoro, and Palawan. In the Visayas area group, in the center of Bohol, Cebu, Leyte, what else? Masbate, Negros, Panay, and kasama na dyan yung Samar. In the Mindanao area, it's in the south. Okay, when it comes to the boundaries and zone in the Philippines, according to the law of Sea Treaty that was developed by the United Nations to govern the international use of ocean resources, it allows coastal nations to expand their ocean territory to 200 miles or 200 nautical miles from the shoreline or other specified baseline. Using the treaty's exclusive economic zone provisions in the Philippines extended its marine resources from 411,668,600 acres to cover a total of 522,863,600 acres. This was not without cost. Specified with territorial expansions came increased responsibilities as specified in the treaty. Rational development of expanded zones required for utilizations of resources. Well, this was not possible, right? Other nations were to be given access to the surpluses So, when it comes to our constitutions, it is clearly written the boundaries of our national territory with all the islands and water embraced therein, and all other territories over which the Philippines has sovereignty or jurisdiction, right? Consisting of its terrestrial, fluvial, and aerial domains, including its territorial sea, the seabed, the subsoil, the insular shelves, and other submarine areas. So the waters around, between, and connecting the islands of archipelago, regardless of their breadth and dimensions, form part of the internal waters of the Philippines. Okay, now let's proceed to the factors to consider in terms of aquaculture. Okay, let's start from the water supply. How important is water supply when it comes to the aquaculture class? Very good, kasi sila yung nagbibigay life sa mga sea species or any kind of mga species na nagkatira sa water. Alright. Water supply, nandiyan yung source, quality, and quantity. So, an assured water supply of sufficient quantity and adequate quality is the most important factor to be considered when deciding the suitability of fish site, right? Therefore, the investigations for a proper water source should be most thoroughly conducted in site selection. The statement of the irrigations divisions or other water authority for the required amount of water to ponds or the hatchery, and of course any restrictions on water supply to the fish farm, for example, periods of maintenance in an irrigation channel must be acquired. So the source of water may be an irrigation canal, river, a creek from the sea, or reservoir, lake, spring, what else? Rainfall, runoff, and or deep wells, right? So water can be supplied via feeder channel. What else? Storage tank or pipeline by gravity or by pumping to the ponds, right? So the most economical method is by the gravity, the very economical method yan. For a pond built in suitable soil, the minimum supply of water should be 5 liters per second and per hectares of pond throughout the year. So yan ang pinaka-importante na ng water, 5 liters, again 5 liters per second per hectares. So if rainfall runoff is to be used and stored in a reservoir to supply the ponds, a ratio of 10 to 15 hectares of catchment area to 1 hectares of pond is required if the catchment area is pasture. A slightly higher ratio is needed for woodland and less for land under cultivations, according to Hora in 1962. Yeah, I still remember that. I still remember her. So the drainage possibility, the ponds should be carefully investigated during the site selection. Is very important. Gravity drainage of the ponds is preferable for draining a pond by gravity, right? Its bottom should be at level higher than that which the maximum water or water table reaches during the harvesting periods in a normal year. So water quality is very important, right? Because it is one of the most significant factors to be considered in site selections, right? It should be investigated by taking a number of water samples from their proposed water source for laboratory analysis of physical, chemical, biological, and microbiological properties, including health hazards, of course, very important. Water test procedures should be in accordance with the relevant standard classifications in our country on water quality. Okay? So, nandiyan yung from a productions of view, emphasis should be placed of the following what I'm talking about, like physical properties. It's temperature, the temperature of physical properties, color, odor, turbidity, what else? Transparency, and of course the very important suspended solids, right? And then nandun din, if we have a physical properties, meron din tayong chemical properties, okay? So ano yung mga chemical properties? Nandyan yung dissolved oxygen, what else? Biochemical oxygen, biochemical oxygen demand, what else? Free carbon dioxide, alkalinity, salinity, and of course, etc., etc. Also, whether pollutants of agricultural or industrial origins are present, and if so, to what extent. So, the last one, so we have the first one, what else? Physical properties, chemical properties, and the last one is biological properties. So, when we say biological properties, ito yung quality and density of plankton. Or microbiological properties, nandiyan yung species and quantity of parasites. Diyan natin malalaman yan. Alright, next, we have to proceed to the soil type. So, soil type is the natural pond. Productivity is dependent on soil. Generally, texture properties of soil determine how well suited it is for fish pond purpose, and of course, for dike constructions, the best is clay, sandy clay. For growing natural food, clay loam, silty loam is better. So, according to the field investigations, to determine surface and subsurface soil conditions at the site should be made as early as possible. Often money can be saved, right? If proper soil explorations are made before the site is procured. They may reveal soil conditions undesirable for pond construction, in which case another site may have to be found. Investigations should be carried out in order to ascertain the suitability of soil both for construction and operations of ponds. Why? Because soils have characteristics that can easily determined by sight and feel. Am I right? Hindi lang naman kahit sa tingin pa lang natin or mapifeel natin talaga yan yung characteristic ng soil. So, visual examinations are employed in place of precise laboratory tests to define the basic soil properties. According to the soil type here for growing natural food in clay dough, a sandy clay to clay loam is the best type of soil both for pond and constructions and growing natural foods at the bottom. Okay, areas with a layer of organic soil over 0.60 meter in thickness are unsuitable for any kind of fish pond because it would be difficult to maintain water levels in the ponds due to high seepage. Also, it would be necessary to transport suitable soils for dike constructions to the site, and of course, this will be costly. Big surface stones or rock outcrops make unsuitable for anything except lined ponds or concrete raceways. Alright, next is the topography and ground elevations. What is topography again? Very good. Topography is the land or landscape of what? Of the Philippines, or here the land of our aquaculture. So how important it is. So topography and ground elevation, this determines the amount of excavations or filling to be done to have desirable pond bottom elevation and the relations to water supply requirements, right? So it should be it should be confirmed that the proposed land area is suitable. So the general conformations of the lands should be with the slopes not steeper than 2%. If wasteland unsuitable for agriculture or other direct use is selected for a project, the cost of the land will be low. Land elevation and flood level are important factors in determining the suitable of the area for the constructions of a fish farm or hatchery. And then the land should be freed from deep flooding. The maximum flood level for the past 10 years should not be higher. Should not be higher the top of the dikes, right? Right. Because the observations of the marks left by floodwaters on bridges or other structures at the site, or questionings of local people may give information about the expected heights of floods. That's it. And then next, what else? The vegetation is very important also. So vegetation is nandiyan yung macroflora present in swamp or mangrove area, heavily vegetated area incurs high development during cleaning up the area. Mangrove vegetation is a good natural indicator of soil type. Nandiyan dominance of ati-ati or miyapi. It is a very positive indicator for plant development. So the presence also of nipa or mixed ati-ati means that soil has high clay content of water with low salinity. Okay. When it comes to the vegetations, according to the vegetations, what else? It is the type and density of vegetations depend partly on the land elevation, right? Because vegetation is also an indicator of soil types and the elevations of the water table. The type and density of vegetation, its size, and the root system of trees largely determine the method of clearing the site and therefore the construction's time and cost. Grassland, we have grassland abandoned paddy fields, open woodland or land covered with low shrubs and bushes allow cheaper construction than land with very thick jungle or swampy areas with high trees. However, in the cyclone belt or in areas where strong winds are frequent, it is very important to have a wide and high wind break of thick vegetations against the directions of the prevailing wind. Alright, next is the climatic condition. This is about the climate, right? Okay. So, also useful in planning production targets or farm operations. That is very important. Climatological factors to be obtained from the meteorological stations nearest to the site are mean monthly temperature. What else? Mean monthly rainfall, monthly evaporation, humidity, sunshine, and of course the monthly wind speed and direction. So obviously, the longer the period of record, the better the data will be. So informations on the pattern of precipitation, something like that, it's a maximum in any 24 hours, right? And incidence of high winds, heavy storms or cyclones should be considered also. The incidence and amount of damage caused by storms or earthquakes in the project area should also be noted. Kasi napaka-importante yun. So, the other factors, nandyan yung accessibility to market. Very important. Dapat malapit lang tayo mayroon tayong access na malapit sa mga market. Availability of the following transport facilities. Napaka-importante yan. Dapat lagi tayo may mga transportation or very convenient transportation, skilled labor. Hindi tayo kukuha ng mga walang skilled na mga labor. So, ice and cold storage facilities is very important para di masira yung mga fish. And then, constructions materials. So, kailangan complete tayo ng mga constructions materials, farm inputs, napaka-importante dyan, financial institution. So, dapat meron tayong financial. And then the last one, dyan yung peace and order situation. Dapat everything's organized, dapat lahat nasa peace tayo in order situation. The end. Thank you for listening.